In this video, I will be showing you how to set up earning codes in Employer on the Go. Depending on the level of access granted by your payroll company, you may or may not have access to all of the features discussed in this video. This feature in Employer on the Go can be set up for the purpose of paying earnings to employees. On the main dashboard page, you will begin by selecting Company, Setup, and Earning Codes. Another window will open up, and by default, every company has access to a standard 43 earning codes. You control, or the Service Bureau can control, what earning codes are available to the end user through the user profile and security on the company access screen. So if you don't see all 43 of those, that may be because you're restricted from seeing everyone that could potentially be available. Apex reserves all earning code numbers up to 99 for future development, but you're welcome to add your own custom earning codes here. You can use any number between 100 and 999. On the earning code screen, first we have the name. It's really the 3-digit number that identifies the earning code. Then we have a description. The description is what's going to show on the employee's pay stub and the payroll reports. The third column, earning code cross-reference list ID, what the heck does that mean? That means you're telling the system how this field is going to act. Say I'm setting up a custom code, and I called it holiday bonus. If I scroll down, earning code number 22 is bonus. So if I were to click on add, I would maybe put a 1 in front of it and do code 122. Call it holiday bonus. We're getting to that time of year. Not yet, but we're getting there. And I'm going to cross-reference it in this earning code cross-reference list ID field to bonus. And what I'm doing there is I'm telling the system when this earning code is used that it should expect a dollar amount or dollar value to be keyed into that field. If I were adding something such as bereavement hours, I would cross-reference it to regular hours. So the system would anticipate or expect an hours value to be keyed in. And then I can save it. This factor, it doesn't get used a lot. I've seen some people, they might put in like this 200 code. I've seen it used where they might put in a custom earning code like double time. Cross-reference it to regular hours because you're still keying hours. Then you have a factor of 2. And then if I key 10 hours, it's going to automatically pay them at double time there. Wage rate, that would be appropriate if, say you had an earning code such as training hours, and every employee that had paid out training hours got paid 7 1/4. So I would have that custom earning code in here. I would put a wage rate of 7 1/4. And then anyone that I assigned that earning code to would get paid those hours at 7 1/4, regardless of what their pay rate was on the employee record. This dollar minimum, dollar maximum, hour minimum, hour maximum, those are just governors. And all that means is you can put parameters here, like a dollar minimum of 1, dollar maximum of 5,000. And then if anybody gets paid outside of those parameters when you process the payroll, it'll give you a warning. It'll still pay them, but it'll give you a warning. So if that was wrong, you have the opportunity to go back into Rapid Pay Entry, make that change, and then reprocess the payroll. The ACA, Affordable Care Act column, if you're using Apex's system to do calculations for the Affordable Care Act, you would have to indicate as part of the setup which earning codes go in to the Affordable Care Act calculations. There's 2 additional fields here, exclude from allocation and include on web timesheet. Those were both set up here as custom work for a specific service bureau. So anytime we say we have custom work on something, it's just kind of a heads up that that item may or may not do what you think it does or what you want it to do. We coded it based on what that specific service bureau was looking for. And then going back, let's look at this third column here and just talk a little bit about the codes themselves. Clock time up into gross hours. So 1 through 10, these are all clock-related earning codes. So if you're keying hours in the system, you wouldn't use any of these, but employees might encounter them if they're clocking in and out. And the system might create break time or lunch time when you process the employee's clock transactions based on what is set up at the employee level on their pay information tab. You know, do they have an auto break or some kind of unpaid lunch set up? Regular hours 11, that's like the default earning code of the system. So if you have an hourly person and they get paid, it pays them at 11 regular hours. 12 overtime hours, that's going to pick up level 1 on your overtime group. So the overtime group we just saw, level 1 is going to show up as earning code 12 regular hours. If you happen to be working with California or a state or a company, I should say, that has more than one overtime level, it might also involve 31, 32, and 33. Overtime levels 2, 3, and 4. So just keep in mind there's multiple levels there. Vacation, holiday, and sick, 13, 14, and 15, all work the same way. For all hourly people, they pay out. For salary people, if they're salary non-exempt, the system will reduce the employee's salary, you know, by the amount that goes to the vacation or the holiday hours. And that way, overall, including the vacation or holiday hours, they would make their standard rate of pay. However, if you pay out earning code 16 PTO, that pays out on top of the salary person's amount. Unpaid hours, it's another one that you're never going to key hours to, but the system might produce unpaid hours as a result of processing the clock transactions. It's going to look at the employee record. They might have an unpaid break or unpaid lunch, so it might show up there. If you are doing a restaurant, this earning code 23 and earning code 27, direct and indirect tips, those are both cash tips. So they get added to the employee's gross pay, taxed, and then they come back out in the calculation to net. Number 26, held tips, something different. Those are charge tips. So they get added to their gross taxed, but they stay in the net pay because the employee never took it home. Auto holiday, that's a system-generated earning code, and that would come about if you had auto holidays set up in company information on the default settings. You would see that in Employer on Demand. Now, 38, minimum tip. That's another code that you're never going to key hours to. But what happens is when you process a payroll, the system looks at how the employee is being paid and their frequency. And if it determines that they're being paid below minimum wage, it creates minimum tips, earning code 38, to bring the employee up to minimum wage. There is a way that you can override that calculation on the employee record if you choose. It's built into the system, and that's just to help keep people in compliance with the Fair Labor Standards Act. Number 43, that's not an earning code at all. That's a one-time override to any employee standard deduction or adjustment. So if I have a medical, $25.67, comes out every payroll. For whatever reason, I don't have it coming out this payroll. Instead of having to change it on the employee record and then having to remember to go back and change it back after I've closed the payroll, I can do a one-time override utilizing Earning Code 43. When selected in Rapid Pay Entry, it'll add 2 columns to the grid. One where you pick the name of the deduction that you're overriding. The second one where you put the override value. And it's just easy. That way when you close the payroll, you're done. You don't have to remember to go back to the employee record and change something back once the payroll is closed. Number 71, pay override. Every time you process payroll, if the system looks at the employee's pay type, their pay type is salary, and they have a dollar amount in the rate field, it automatically pays them when you process. If you don't want to pay them, or you want to pay them a different amount than their standard salary one time only, you can do a one-time override with code 71. It can actually work as a one-time override on an hourly employee's rate as well. It won't change anything on the employee record. It's just a way for you to do a one-time override without having to change on the employee record and then remembering to go back and change it back, once you close the payroll. And these are my custom codes because they're 100 or over.